how to eliminate the deficit and create a transparent economy at the same time. What we're going to look at here is the new internet application developed by Equal Currency that uses the system clock technology from AccelVal Technologies Institute. By applying the system clock to economics, Equal Currency is able to provide a system-wide accounting platform that enables government to keep the public completely informed about everything taking place within the economy at large, and that especially means tax revenues. In addition, system accounting makes it possible to immediately allocate a tax the moment a buyer and a seller complete a transaction. That means on the spot. This takes all the pain out of getting the government its dues without delay, and also in plain view of the public. Interface-wise, all Equal Currency does is enable a network of users to literally form value networks where transactions are conducted between one another for the price of a penny, no matter how large the transaction. Access to Equal Currency system is done at two levels. While creating a user is necessary to access Equal Currency, it is with the user that one thus creates a further internal profile called an assembly, which is the level where transactions actually occur among folks. We do this for the purpose of ensuring accountability. That is, wherever money enters into the system, it must first pass through an established user so as to eliminate any shoulder shrugging if an event that depends upon the absence of accountability occurs on down the line. And then because accountability is fully established, the distinction between users and assemblies enables people to separate the human from the labor. So while someone may be providing engineering services for part of the week, they may also be involved in coaching volleyball. As such, users can have as many assemblies as they want. Just as a handyman might have as many different tools within his portfolio to get various different jobs done, labor offered in the free market is in most cases a uniform. Not often does it fully account for the human behind the labor. So let's take a look at our first user. Angie has two different assemblies organized in a directory tree, which, incidentally, can have as many assemblies and sub-assemblies as she wants. So Angie's root assembly, Angie Girl, is the one she uses for all her personal, domestic, or consumptive activity. This is where she stores all the money she plans to spend on herself. Her next assembly represents her engineering job, Engineer Angie. And now let's add one for the volleyball coaching position she has taken in the evenings. Now let's give her the assembly name Volley B Angie in USA, California. It'll be the county of Santa Clara, 94024, Los Altos, and the street name is Riverside Drive, street number 500, and we'll give her an email, area code, phone number, and the classification of industry is education. By the way, this menu is going to eventually contain both the North American industry and the standard occupational classification lists. We'll skip the description, and Angie will choose to keep her activity of this assembly private for the time being. And maybe she wants to fund her account with some money in order to purchase supplies, or in other words, capitalize. Okay, Angie, the volleyball coach, is ready to earn revenue, or spend it, which is an expense. Pretty straightforward. Now, let's actually do a transaction with someone. This is Eric's user. Eric, as well, has his personal assembly and also owns and operates a local grocery store called The Local Supply. Angie literally visits the local supply and brings up $100 worth of groceries to the cash register, tax included. After totaling up the sale, Eric's local supply assembly sends Angie's assembly a payment request in the form of a transaction ID. By the way, Equal Currency has an API plan to integrate this payment stuff directly from QuickBooks and from whatever point-of-sale devices companies like to work with. Should eliminate a lot of administrative costs. Anyways, let's submit it and go to Angie's assembly and approve the payment request. She logs in, and of course this will all be possible from Angie's mobile device as well. She goes to her transactions pending, there's the transaction ID, and approves it. Her transaction history now reflects a deduction of $100. And now going to Eric's local supply assembly, it's just received $100 in revenue. Again, Equal Currency's API will make it so that revenue is automatically ledgered in QuickBooks or whatever other accounting software wants to participate. But wait a minute, when does the government get their money? And how can they help Eric make sure that he won't fall back on his promise to pay all the taxes he owes? Here's the answer. Let's go to Arnie's user. In addition to his Hollywood actor assembly, he's also literally California. Under California, there exists the Board of Equalization, which then owns an assembly called California Sales Tax. Here's where life for California and everywhere else gets a lot easier and clearer. California sales tax is going to create what is called a value moment. Like a direct debit, but a lot smarter. The value moment is a trigger-based rule that automatically creates and approves transactions between assemblies. So California sales tax is going to create for itself the 8.75% tax value moment. And the trigger is defined as per transaction of revenue using the percentage rate of 8.75, which will exist indefinitely. And that's it. Now, all we have to do is get Eric's local supply assembly to activate the value moment, a much more simple activity that replaces the tedium of physically applying for a business license. From California sales tax, we invite. From the local supply, we accept. And now the local supply activates the value moment, thereby committing 8.75 of all revenue earned immediately to the government of California. Now, let's have Angie buy another $100 worth of groceries and see what happens. This time we'll skip the requesting and approving and instead just make a direct payment from Angie's assembly to the local supply. Angie's assembly experiences a deduction of $100. The local supply assembly experiences an increase, but by how much? Looking at its transaction history, we see that something in addition to receiving revenue has just happened. $8.75 of revenue was automatically sent to the California Sales Tax Assembly. Nice! Now cities can expect their share from the state much more quickly. Let's check California Sales Tax Assembly just to be safe. There it is. Tax revenue earned and allocated the moment it's generated out in the open economy. Now here is Equal Currency's crowning glory. If anyone wants to know exactly how well any public assembly is performing, that is, with zero error, search out the information by entering a basic query under the Search tab. For now, you can do it by querying the exact name of the assembly. California sales tax between one day and another in California, and you have your answer. Or you can submit demographical information surrounding the assembly, specify government, and there you get your answer. One showing that we've been sending more than just 875, but you get the idea. By querying a spatial database that is constantly being added to in perpetuity by the system clock, and watch the next video if you want to understand that stuff, you can analyze anything you want within an economy as long as the information itself is deemed public. If it's checking the performance of a government's fiscal policy or even the real-time performance of a public company, Equal Currency eliminates any and all doubt about what's really happening with them. The cost of a policy as well as the price of an asset will start to reflect reality and will be made clear to the world so as to eliminate any potential for cheating by blocking access to prices. This finally makes the game of capitalism fair. And instead of just being used for taxes, Value Moments, which does automate the function of payroll once and for all, also becomes the essential vehicle for promising the payment of a future dividend. So, want to raise capital? Then you don't need to bother with stocks and investment banks anymore. All you have to do is sell Value Moments by discounting future cash flows. which will be especially easy to do if you've already demonstrated with other assemblies that you can consistently earn more revenue than you spend. That means profit, by the way. The competition for return is going to be extremely healthy now, so you'll easily attract capital, pay out dividends on time and as expected, and stay clear of the nonsense that is constantly created and exploited in secondary markets. This way, the spoils keep ending up in the hands of the risk takers and not the risk talkers. And Equal Currency does its part by reducing transaction costs to literally the lowest possible price of 1 penny per transaction, thereby ensuring maximum pass-through of revenue to sellers. Grocery store gets charged a penny, the charity gets charged a penny, so does the entity levying the tax, no matter what level within the economy, big or small, local or larger, can handle anything. Everything keeps zooming along. The end game here is to provide firms all throughout the internet like Google Maps and other geographical information services access to Equal Currency's spatial database so that revenue traffic can be queried both within the public and private sectors just as easily as vehicle traffic. And next thing you know, your 12-year-old will be outperforming hedge fund managers, and high school students will be shaping fiscal policy because adapting and competing in an easy-to-understand, error-free, information-driven environment is really a skill learned by doing your homework and adjusting inputs to outputs, and nothing really having to do with how many people you have in your network or how sophisticated you appear. Ultimately, business is nothing more than selling something for more than you paid for it, again, which is profit. The science should be both easy and tamper-free. Assessing and meeting demand, now that's where real creativity comes into play and must be nurtured. All of which is entirely dependent upon an honest, efficient, and adequately funded justice system. Hence, the need to get those taxes moving freely and openly so that the most productive allocation can be first discerned, then achieved. Alright, if you want to see the technical explanation of Equal Currency's application of the system clock, feel free to check out the next video. If you already understand the profound impact this technology will have on rescuing entities from tremendous deficits and debts, you are free to share it with your local government representatives to consider it for adoption.